Welcome! This video covers entering farm information into planting profits. To get the most benefit from planting profits, follow the planning process. It goes hand in glove with the software. Previous video covered the first part of Step 1, collecting farm information using the farm profile template. Now we'll move to the second part of Step 1, entering farm information into planting profits and generating a strategy. Since we're planting by fields, check Fields. The most profitable combination of crops, fields, and acres will be generated with only one crop assigned per field. The income goal for this example is $300,000. Again, income goal is optional. It only sets a benchmark. It does not affect the analysis. There are 5 crops for this farm: corn, soybeans, wheat, barley, and specialty corn. Any difference in yields, prices, or variable production costs is analyzed as a different crop. That's why there are 2 corn crops. The expected price for the specialty corn is higher, and the expected yield is lower, and the seed cost is higher. Its expected profit per acre is different, so the specialty corn is modeled as a different crop. Enter the estimated crop yields. Enter the estimated crop prices. Enter the estimated variable production costs. The per acre income is displayed on the far right. The template has minimum and maximum crop yields and prices, but we're going to keep it simple and just use the expected yields and prices. FYI, this button expands the table to enter values for minimum and maximum crop yields and prices. Later, you can circle back and enter the minimums and maximums if you'd like. These values are used downstream in risk analysis, which is covered in a later video. There are 2 places to enter supplemental information on a crop. Click on Other Crop Information to associate a crop with a conservation practice or to label a crop as high risk. These designations do not affect the analysis. They are used to calculate output measures, such as the percentage of acreage under conservation practices and the percentage of estimated income from high-risk crops. Click on Additional Crop Income to enter additional estimated income from co-products, government payments, conservation practices, or additional costs. Next, enter field information. Last crop is to track rotations and is optional. Click Save and Next to go to enter the crop and field combinations. Click in the cells that represent which crops are being considered for which fields. If a crop-field combination does not have a check mark, then that crop will not be considered to be planted in that field. These should match the template. Be careful making these selections and carefully check them before advancing. Resources are next. Resources include land, working capital, labor, water, equipment, or any other controllable input that may limit your crop mix. Land and working capital are the minimum resources needed to create a plan. The amount of acreage was previously captured, so we have that. There is $600,000 in working capital in our example. For our example, we're including optional resources for irrigation water and specialty corn storage. For the irrigation, the amount of water resource available is 80,000 acre inches. Each crop is irrigated, and these are each crop's per acre water requirements in acre inches. To store the specialty corn, there is 80,000 bushels of on-farm storage available. This storage is only used for the specialty corn. Each acre of specialty corn uses 160 bushels of storage. This is the yield. Other training videos provide guidance on how to model optional resources such as labor, rental land, nutrients, chemicals, machinery, and more. If there are material differences in crop yields or crop resource use among fields, you can use the crop field differences to account for this. For now, bypass crop field differences. We'll circle back to crop field differences in a later training. Forward sales are up next. If you don't have any forward sales to evaluate, click Next to go on to the crop acreage limits page. For our example, there are two forward sales. One is a firm contract for specialty corn, and the other is a proposed sale for some soybeans. Select the crop. Select firm or proposed as the contract type. Enter the contract price. Enter the acreage or the quantity in the crop's unit of measure. Crop acreage limits is the last set of management decisions. For each crop, enter the minimum and maximum acreage or percentage that could be planted. It's best if you leave these limits as wide open as possible. This gives planting profits latitude to find the most profitable crop mixes. Then start tightening the crop limits to refine your mix. For the specialty corn, the maximum acreage limit is set to 0. This means that there will be no open or non-contracted specialty corn in the mix. The default minimum value is 0. That means that it's okay if this crop is not assigned any acreage. The default maximum value is the total available acreage for the crop. This may be different when planning by acres versus fields, given that some crops may not be eligible for some fields based on rotations or other restrictions. Firm forward sales will display a minimum acreage limit by default. Proposed forward sales will display a maximum acreage limit by default. There is no minimum acreage requirement for a proposed contract. Contract acreage cannot be changed on the crop limits page. To change the acreage of a forward sale, go back to the forward sale page. You can create groups of crops and place minimum and maximum acreage limits on a group. Analysis output will show which acreage limits are impacting profitability. That's it. We're ready to analyze the farm model. First click Submit and Review. This brings up the pre-analysis page. This page provides a summary of all farm model information. Scroll through the information and make sure it looks correct. If anything needs fixing, go back and fix it. On the pre-analysis page, click Analyze. Depending on the complexity of the farm model, it normally takes 15 to 30 seconds to return the optimized strategy. This is the single most profitable combination of crops, fields, and acres and assets that meets all specified management musts and wants. Planting Profits found this out of tens of thousands of possible combinations. If there are no forward sales, the output looks like this. When you're creating a crop plan for the first time, this first strategy is referred to as your baseline strategy. Let's quickly see what planning by acres looks like. We'll edit the strategy to go back and change the model type. We'll click on Planning Mode and select Planning by Acres. If planning by acres, enter the total available acres without regard to fields. By default, the total acreage is already populated since it was calculated when we entered our field information. The rest of the pages are the same as when planning by fields, except you won't see the page to enter field information or the page for crop and field choices. Click Save and Review. Then Analyze. A strategy is generated using all of the model parameters, but the output is based solely on total acres, without regard to crop field assignments. There are no crop field assignments in the output since fields are not considered when planning by acres. Congratulations! We've moved from Step 1 to Step 2 in the planning process. Thank you for your time. For more information, please go to www.plantingprofits.com.